What's up? Life without conversations is meaningless. Marketing is certainly not an exception to that. Imagine marketing without being able to communicate, without being able to convey the message. Well, you don't call it marketing, do you? What was your first idea of marketing? When did you come up with something, whether it was an article, whether it was an ad, and when did you think, all right, so this is marketing, and what did you convey, or what did the advertiser try to convey to you, and what did you get out of it? What was the meaning that you got out of the piece of ad or the article that you read? How was the whole experience like, right? If you take out communication from this entire gamut of things, there is no message, there is no meaning, everything is lost. The essence of marketing, ladies and gentlemen, is communication. Communication can also be looked at from another point of view as having a conversation. The piece of ad, the piece of article that you're reading, the snippet of video that you watch, whether on TV or YouTube today, are all trying to communicate something to you. They're trying to have a conversation with you. Now, these conversations in real life can be a body language, can be something that you say, can be something you speak over the phone with someone, can be a piece of written article, can be an email that you write to someone. In these whole set of activities that you try to have a conversation with, the more you are effective in terms of having a conversation, the effective is your relationship or the message that you try to convey to people. Let's bring the whole equation of communication and conversation to marketing. The articles, the kind of advertisements that we are all exposed to are whether it was print at some point in time, whether it was radio, whether it is TV ad that you see, whether it is an ad that you see on a website, whether it is something that you look at on YouTube. Now, all these things have something in common. They're all trying to tell you something. Who is effective depends upon a lot of things. Now, don't you think there is always a problem of messages being one-way messages, where it is only what they're trying to tell you something, and the only way you can respond to that is by acting upon it. For example, if you look at a newspaper ad, how would the advertiser know that you have read the message? There is no follow-up mechanism on that. Same is the case with TV advertisements. Nobody can ever come to know the effectiveness of a TV ad, whether that brought a smile to your face, what was your action. It all had kind of guesswork associated with it, and then resulted in, say, so you look at an ad for a washing machine. There is no guarantee that the company can ever come to know that one particular ad that they telecasted on ESPN made you go ahead and purchase the washing machine. There is no follow-up mechanism for that, right? Now, the solution for this is to enable a two-way communication. Now, how can a two-way communication be enabled? Today, if you look at the ways people are trying to market stuff, two-way communication is possible for sure. It can be a phone call. Now, somebody is trying to call you and cold call you and trying to sell something to you. Now, there is definitely message that's being conveyed. Now, questions are being answered in real time there. How about an email? An email is also a two-way communication where somebody tells you something via an email and then you can respond to that. How about a sign-up form that you find on a website? Now, if they're trying to advertise something, you click on the ad, there's a sign-up form that pops up. Now, that's also a form of two-way communication. Text messaging, that's also a form of two-way communication. Now, print ad, not so much. TV ads, not so much. Radio ad, not so much. Now we have figured out a two-way mechanism. Don't you think all of us will be marketing geniuses now? No. That's exactly why having a conversational marketing to your existing marketing ecosystem makes a hell lot of difference. Now, how do you bring that is what we would be looking at today in this live stream. All right. What is a conversational marketing setup? Now, is it a new channel that we're trying to talk about? Is it a new marketing channel? Is it a new medium? Absolutely not. Imagine a customer-centric approach that just helps people move down the buying cycle as quickly as possible. Let me show what I mean. All that I'm trying to tell you is every product has a buying cycle, right? Now, if you start looking at your funnel, there is a place where people enter your website from. There is a place where they try to get some information about your product. And there's a place where they actually make a decision whether to buy a product or not. Now this is a funnel. Forgive my artwork, but this is the best I can come up with. Now this is exactly what happens when you start looking at or imagining or picturing a buying cycle. Now if you look at this buying cycle, this is where people come into your website from, right? Now this is called as the top of the funnel. Now this is where they either need some more information or they are stuck with something, they're not able to decide whether to go ahead with your product or not. And this is exactly where they go ahead and buy your product. Now, the conversational marketing that we are talking about is nothing but a mechanism. It's not a channel, it's not a new ad format, it's nothing of that sort. It's just a new methodology that makes people move to the bottom of the funnel as quickly as possible. That's all it does, nothing else. Now, this is exactly what any business would want, right? This is an ideal situation. People enter the funnel, they quickly convert as soon as possible, is the ideal situation for any business. Now, that is exactly what conversational marketing methodology or thought process enables you with as a marketer or as a businessman. Now, how do I do that? Where do I start that? What are the kinds of conversational marketing techniques, tips, activities that I have at my disposal, right? Now, let me show you what I mean. If you start looking at what are all the activities that you have at your disposal as somebody who is either a marketer or a businessman, these would be all the things that you need to look at, or at least this is the thought process you should be developing at this point in time to start with. So let me show what I mean. All right. If you start looking at your product, now let's assume that you have a product, and what else can be better than a laptop? As I said, please forgive my artwork. Now this is a laptop that I'm trying to sell to my audiences. What is a conventional method of promoting this? A conventional method is you run an ad, people land on your website, they fill a form and submit. That comes to your CRM. Now that gets assigned to somebody who is a lead, who is as a lead to somebody who is in-house. Now they try to follow up with a call, and they try to call you, and imagine by the time they call you, you're fast asleep. Or actually, let me come back to that in a second. Let me not put you to sleep so soon. Let's actually backtrack. Now they try to call you and you answer the phone, and then you have a few more questions, and then you send them an email and they respond with an email, and by the time the sale happens, it takes a long time. Now the question you need to ask is, as a business, why should you wait for so long for a simple sale to take place when there are easier ways to do this? Imagine if this was trying to propose to a girl or the woman of your choice or the man of your choice. Would you wait for so long, or would you straight go for the kill and get a shorter route as much as possible, right? Now, why do you have to deal with all these things when things can be much simpler, is my question. Now let's see how we can actually make it easier. Who wouldn't want an easier way out? Especially things that get you money and grow your business, right? So how do you do that in a simpler way is the question. All right. So you have an ad. Now that is what brings people to your website. Instead of a form, let's take another route. Let's have a chatbot that's installed on your website. Now what this does is it asks a series of qualifying questions for which the user can give answers in real time. Now, based upon all these responses, all his questions get answered. Once his questions are answered, the resistance is the friction is much less now. And all he needs to do now is to make sure he goes ahead and make those decisions needed to make a purchase. Now, this is a relatively much shorter path compared to what we were looking at all the while. Now, this is a game changer. What you did here is you did not have a form. All you did is you tried engaging in a conversation. That's how conversational marketing can be a lifesaver for not just growing your business, but as making it as much as easy as possible for your visitors or your customers, right? Well, you may be thinking, how can I have somebody who can sit and chat with 1 million visitors visiting my website? If you're somebody like Amazon, you will definitely have this question. Well, that's a valid question. Now, what do you do? So what you do here is you will slightly change your thought process, and you will not employ anybody who is human here, but instead you will start looking at something like an intelligent bot, something that's qualified to do that at scale without having to have manual interference. Now, you may be thinking, well, is that possible? Of course it's possible. Let's see how that's possible. All right, so there are a lot of chatbots which are very, very powerful, and they use technologies like AI and NLP, which is natural language processing, to emulate a bot that looks like a human having a conversation. Now, when the system doesn't understand, that's when it will route to a human who will have to interfere and take a call at that point in time. Until then, it's all the machine. Don't you think it's a much better possibility of having things than leaving people wait for a long time, losing interest? And let me also tell you, there's a staggering statistic that you will be surprised to know. 43% of the leads that you generate or the cold calls that you make only answer the call. What happens to the other 57%? You lose them. By the time you reach out to them, they are no longer hot leads. They would have gone stale, cold leads. Now, that's a big problem, right? So how do you overcome that? You overcome that by executing something like this, where you will reach out to people at the right time and make sure you give them what they need at the right time. Because if you don't reach out to them at the right time, they will lose interest and they will no longer be the hot leads that you once craved for. Now, how do you keep it going is you have to do this at scale. Now, you have to do this where things are rolling or even when you're sleeping, right? Now, how do you do that is through bots or chat bots or platforms that will help you do these things. Now, you need to remember one simple equation. All you need to remember is when you are working with chatbots, what do they do? What do chatbots do? Chatbots just answer questions at the right time. They don't wait for nobody, right? They are helping people get answers to the questions as and when they are on the website deciding whether to buy a product or not. And here, it is pushing people to make a decision quickly and closer in your buying cycle. So if you look at that, this is the top of the funnel, and there is a middle of the funnel, and there is a bottom of the funnel, and a chatbot or a conversational marketing technique or activity is trying to make people move to this stage faster. That's business for you, right? Now let me break down the whole process into 3 easy steps for you so that there's no beating around the bush, and let's get to the point as quickly as possible. Now, you need to understand that if you have a chatbot in mind, you need to remember just 3 things: engage, understand, and recommend. Now, broadly, these are the only 3 categories that your entire journey of a user can be broken down into. Now, let me tell you what happens. When your ad is being shown to people, you're trying to engage with them. If you engage with them in a meaningful format by asking them a series of questions which are more meaningful than simply fetching information like their name, phone number, email ID, with which you will engage in a series of emails that nobody is interested in, why not have real-time conversations using intelligent bots? Real-time conversations make people decide about things faster, and they will move towards the conversion stage much faster than you can imagine. So you need to understand that you have to engage with them in a better fashion. Let's say we're talking about bots here. And then once they engage, you'll have to understand their requirement better. So ask valid questions, ask qualifying questions, so that you will know where to segment them properly as a business, and you will know you can retain this data for repeat purchases or future purchases. Now once you understand them by asking a series of questions, then you recommend people to a product that they may have not seen, or to what you think is the best possible option for them. So this way you're actually engaging with them, you're understanding them, you're also helping them with suggestions. This closes the loop for a conversational marketing landscape. This is the ideal combination, right? Now there is not only one way to do things, and we understand that very well. There is no one size that fits all. There is no one bot that can understand everything. There will be iterations. There will be initial resistance for you as a business owner, for users who are used to sending those emails. But let me tell you one thing: no customer wants the process to be delayed. There will never be a customer who will say that, okay, I'm looking for the slowest service that will push my buying process as farther as possible. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants quick solutions, quick answers, real-time conversations. This is the best bet, right? Now let's quickly jump into a few conversations. I don't want to keep on doing this because this is the first session in the conversational marketing series. Now let me jump into the system and show you a lot of interesting things that you would be surprised at when I speak about conversational marketing, and people are already doing it. Let's start looking at those things, and let me see what we have. Let me quickly change the screen. All right. Now this is what we don't need. We are talking about things like, all of us know this, right? So let's talk about things like Domino's. So let's go to Domino's site. And there is something called as 0 clicks order that Domino's supports. So let's look at what that is. All right, so this is an app. Now let's go to the home page. All right, you got to give me a second to bring that page up, because you will be surprised when I tell you what I looked at. There are ways that you can place an order using sites like Domino's, where they have access to Slack channels, where you can place an order from Alexa, from Google Home. And let me quickly show it to you. All right, so what you see here is anywhere.dominos.com, where, let's scroll to the top. All right, so these are all the ways that you can place an order with Amazon. With Domino's. I guess too many Amazon orders. All right, so Domino's pizza, you can order from Google Home, Alexa. They have a Slack channel. They have a messenger integration, which is the bot, the chatbot that I'm speaking about. 0-click system, text messages, tweet, in the car, smart TV, voice, and smartwatch. Now, you need to really understand this first. Guys, Domino's has you covered at all places. They have no place where you can't find them. You can find them from a smartwatch, from an app, from a mobile phone, from a Slack channel while you're at work. Then you can find them when you're driving in a car. Then you have Alexa, Google Home. Then you have Facebook Messenger, which is a chatbot. Now, do you see how they're reducing any resistance to place an order and making it as smooth as possible? Now, how did that happen? Is if you look at your screen now, if you look at all of these possible activities, they're reducing the resistance as much as possible. Now look at this. Place your easy order, reorder your most recent Domino's order, and track your order using Domino's Tracker. And look at this. Google Home makes it easy. Just say, okay, Google, talk to Domino's, and then they got you covered. And then you have Alexa, Slack channel. If you look at, it's just real-time conversation, right? And this gets really interesting if you're talking about a messenger bot. Now, easy order, Then the input goes as easy order. Now this is all the easy order options that you have. Place order now. It's all interactive. No human interaction needed. You don't have to wait for people. You don't need to stay on the phone for a long time. You don't have to memorize all the options. There's no going back and forth. It's all as smooth as butter. The second option that I have when we speak about conversational marketing is a website which is called as Content Powered. And what I really liked about them is, if you look at this, you found us from an article we wrote, right? We are effective at growing our clients' sites with content too. What's your website and email ID? They are pulling you into a conversation before you even realize. Now that's smooth, right? Now, how cool is that? I mean, I'm not seeing a boring "how may I help you" message there, right? I'm looking at a message which says, "I know where you find me. I know where you found us at. Now this is what we do. Now what's your website ID and email?" So let's give a dummy email to see what happens. Right? So your email ID is given, and then they would have any further. I think they're still validating the email ID. Right? Let's say this. Let's see what happens. Let's just play around with this. Right? Now, if you look at this, this is powered by Drift, which is interesting because that's one of the next examples that we have. I guess these guys don't have anything, but when I checked earlier this morning, they had a set of options with here, and when I select those options, they had responses which are really, really in line with what I was looking for. Now let's look at this before we move forward. It's a healthcare website where I found a very, very cool feature, which is this symptoms assessment. Now, how many times do we come across situations where I want to consult a doctor, but then I need some information about what I'm going through. I need to look at if these symptoms mean anything. Are they serious? Are they not serious? So I want to get as much information as possible, right? So this does it. This helps you do that. Now, I have a headache with a sinus pain and congestion. These are the possible things. Now, don't you see how it is very, very carefully embedded into a conversation-like feature, right? Now, meet Health Tap AI powered by artificial intelligence trained by doctors. Now, how cool is that? Now, these are where conversational marketing really plays a very important role. Now, the OG of conversational marketing. Now, I really am very excited to share about this particular website because think about something. Now, if I go to Amazon.com, if I start looking at, let's say, buying furniture, so I go to a furniture page, and I also want, let's say, lights. Now, if I go to Amazon's page, which has furniture, and if there is a chat window there, which is a bot, of course, and if the bot tells me, okay, here, what is your price range, blah, 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 and things like that, and if the same messaging is also shown on the lighting page, on the lighting products page, I wouldn't find that very interesting because I know it's a bot and it's just doing its job, which is the same old crap each time, right? Now, the beauty about drift.com is if I go to a page called, let's say, AI Chatbots, let me also go to a page called pricing, right? Let me go to this page first. This is an AI chatbots page, not very different. You can use this for multiple ways, for multiple things. You can have a meeting scheduled. You can coordinate your team meeting, and then you can set up a bot where you talk about integrations. You can do a lot of things like any other bot. But here is where it gets interesting. Hey there, are you looking to learn more about Drift, right? Now, just look at this message and hold on for a second until I come back. Let's go to the pricing page, right? Now, when I scroll, do you see how it's not pre-populated? It's not ready here. It'll just pop up in a minute, I think. Right? So when the beauty of this site was when I went to the pricing page, it immediately asked me what brought you to the pricing page. Let's refresh and see if you see that. I will definitely tag a screenshot if I find that somewhere. But it definitely asked me, how did you come here? Why did you come to the pricing page? So what that means is it is customizing conversations based upon the page. If I come to the pricing page, it's asking me a pricing related query. If I'm looking at a general page, it's asking me a general question. Do you see how it's customized? Now let me actually go to an incognito website. Let's get the website first, drift.com/pricing, right? Now let's say I go to this drift.com. Let's look at pricing. This is an incognito window, so I think the results should be different in this case. Let's give it a couple of seconds to see if it pops up. There you go. Now do you see, hey, what brings you to the pricing page? I'm an AI bot, so feel free to ask me about Drift. How interesting, how incredible. It knows that I'm on the pricing page, so it's asking me a pricing related question, or it's trying to engage in a conversation, or it's trying to build a conversation around pricing. While I went, let's close this, let's go to the other page where here it's talking about a general question about, I mean, what brings you here, right? Now, how interesting is that? Now, this is what I mean when I talk about having conversations related to a page that we are talking about, and anything that actually makes relevance. It's picking up those things and it is keeping them in the mind, and it is organizing into a very, very beautiful conversation where you don't feel like this is marketing, but this is marketing, right? Now you're telling people, you're talking to people, you're trying to help them, you're giving them all. Guys, what is marketing at the end of the day? Marketing at the end of the day is you have a product, you're coming up with a messaging where you're trying to reduce people's questions and people's resistance. You're not trying to trick them or con them. You're trying to give people all the answers to their question about their own problems in a way that's more engaging, more real time here in this case, because I mean, it's real time. They don't have to send you an email, wait for the weekend, and then they don't have to rack their brains. It's happening real time. Who is doing it? All the leading websites have AI embedded in some form, along with a little human interaction, and it's only getting better with time, let me tell you that much. That's about it about conversational marketing. This is the first live stream that I've ever handled about conversational marketing, so stay tuned for this series, and I think you will really enjoy this. Until next time, my name is Casey. I hope you like the conversational marketing series. You know what to do if you like this. Please subscribe to this channel, it'll mean the world to me. Until then, this is Casey signing off. Ciao.